Hi, welcome in. This is a place we talk about personality typing with a spiritual understanding. Yep, it's 2022. And guess what everyone's doing right now? They're making their New Year's resolutions. In fact, I just did a quick Google, and over 2 million people are searching that topic. So I want to comment on that. I'm gonna title this personality typing and purpose and New Year's resolutions. So I think a lot of us this time of year, we're so conditioned. Let's write down our New Year's resolutions. Let's just write something down because that's what we're told to do. Right? We get all excited and especially, and I'm not pulling anybody out, but J types are more inclined to do this because it fits their persona. They like the organization, they like the scheduling, they like the idea of lists, and it brings them security. So, okay, that's a good thing, right? And us P types are like, well, yeah, not so much. We have a more open-minded, flexible, spontaneous way of living our lives. That's perfect too. But what I want to talk about this personality type thing and your purpose and goal setting, which is a lot of what New Year's resolutions are. I want to get down to the nitty gritty of this because I also did another Google search. I did a little bit of research, and I found that when you ask somebody, like, what's your purpose? What's your why, right? Like, there's a lot of why questions. Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? All the why questions, right? What's your why? Why are you here? So I think if we go into goal setting and resolution setting without knowing your why, is why you see this big percentage of failure each year. Because we get into the halfway into January and we're like, what resolutions? We've kind of forgotten them. And I think it's because we haven't focused and given our life direction and meaning. We haven't found ourselves. We haven't found the truth of who we are, our true selves. Those are all very necessary components before you even start the whole resolution thing or goal setting. You have to go inward first to find the purpose for the external. And we've not been taught to do that. We've been taught to, let's set goals. I want to make money. I need to find the love of my life. I want to get married, have 2.5 kids, which is absurd. What's 2.5 kids? I don't even get that. I want the new car. I want the big house. I want to travel everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is all very externally focused, which isn't a bad thing. But when you don't have your purpose, what happens is there's not a lot of meaning in all that. It's just stuff that we've been taught to believe is our purpose, which isn't our purpose. So this is why I'm talking about personality typing with a spiritual understanding. Because I think if you don't start from that inward place, that place of divine grace that connects us, right? The cognitive with the intuition, the physical with the spiritual, the logical with the illogical, the conscious with the unconscious, because we are both of those things. We encompass both of those. And when those cooperate together, when you have a cooperation of the two aspects of ourselves, the physical and the non-physical, is where you're starting to start finding your purpose. And then if you do that inward search, right? If you start with the unconscious and go inward, where your divine spark, divine grace, the seat of your unconsciousness, your heart center, your soul center, all those things mean the same thing. If you go in and start from that, the center, the internal beingness of who you are, your eternal self, your purpose becomes clearer because you're coming at it from a divine perspective, which is unlimited possibilities. So you can see, hopefully this helps you see, it opens up your mind a little bit to understand that when you come from a construct of like outward goal setting, you know, I want the car, I want the house, and maybe you're not meant for those things. Maybe you're meant for something bigger or something smaller that has a deeper impact, that doesn't include all this conditioned way of thinking, the constructs of life. And I think that's why we fight. And I think that's why we don't succeed in our goals, because we're fighting these constructs, because our soul knows there's something more to life than what we've been taught. Right? So let's just talk about this then. So instead of goal setting, maybe we should start looking at intention setting. And instead of hard stop achievements, I want to earn this by this date. I want to be married by this time and have these kids by this time. I want the house. I want the car. I want this in the next 3 years. Maybe stop looking at all that as those hard stop achievements. And instead, give your life a direction and a focus. Makes a little bit more sense, right? And if your direction or focus is those things, but you're still looking just at the external, so you're only talking about one half of yourself, your humanness. You're forgetting that there is a bigger aspect of yourself, is your beingness, and you're not allowing your intentions. We talked about that, like your intentions, to filter in and connect you to that divine spark that lives within you, that grace, that love, that heart center. Because when you open that up, when you open your mind to that, so you have an open mind and an open heart, you start connecting into all that. Then your life becomes about unlimited potential, unlimited opportunities, unimaginable places that you're going to go. But we've been conditioned to believe the hard stop external world is it, and it stops us and it puts us in a box. We're not meant to be in a box at all. And we're seeing this. We're seeing this in the world right now, where our governments, our institutions, our medical, I don't know, I'm here in the United States, so I can't speak for any other country, so I don't want to do that. But even our medical systems are saying this is this and this is this. Okay, we are bodies. We are all individual. My fingerprint is individual from yours. So is my soul imprint, which is my soul mission in life. So my truth is going to be different from yours. So how can you tell me I need to do this? Now you can believe that or believe whatever you want to believe. But the world in which is showing us now is reflecting that we all need to be doing the same thing. And that's not true. That's not true at all. It's a big fat lie. But so let me reel back on that now though, because I want to talk more about your personality type. And see, people that do have a purpose, that are purpose driven from an inward place, they have a direction in their life. You know, they know their why. Like it took me a long time to figure out my why. And it's always going to evolve, and it's always going to keep growing, and it's going to look different than it looked like 10 years down the road. My why is going to look different than it is from today. But my why, the reason why I feel I'm here, will always be the same. It'll just evolve and grow as I do. Does that make sense? So, you know, and how I got to my why was finding myself. I had to figure myself out. the cool thing is, you can do the same thing. We're not taught to do this. We're not taught to use, sorry, I got hair in my mouth. We're not taught to use our personalities as a way to figure out our why. Now, I'm not telling you to totally identify with your personality type, because that's an external thing, but it gives you great clues as to your why. And guess where it's all found? It's all found in your functional stack. Interesting, right? So your functional stack kind of gives you a map of your personality type. And within your functional stack, if you, I don't know if you're listening to my channel, you know about personality typing. If you don't, I'm going to go through this real quickly, so just bear with me here. But your functional stack helps you prioritize which traits you use the most, right? So there's different traits, and it's stacked, which I'm going to talk about this in my book a little bit, because I'm still going to, okay, long story, but it's stacked, but it's such a linear thing, which we're three-dimensional. So I hate that it's just like this line, because we're not a line. We are three-dimensional beings. We are non-physical. We're interdimensional. So, okay, with that said, my little rant, keep up with me. Sorry. So you look at your functional stack, and, as it's been spoken of through career typology, through Myers-Briggs, which started in the 1950s, which is a very heavily dominated patriarchal society, which we're no longer even in. I mean, we're moving totally out of that. So another reason I'm writing my book, I want to give you a more relevant way to incorporate personality typing in your life. It's much more spiritual. It's much more inward focused. So then you can express outward in a much more inspired way, a much more divine way, because we are divine beings. So when you get back to that stack, so there's a primary, as they say in career typology, or they actually say dominant. Your dominant trait. I feel like I'm going back into World War II, and this all started, right? You're dominant. Get the dominant forces to the front. But that trait is a big clue, and I call it your essential self, because it's so essential to your beingness. That starts giving you your focus. It starts giving you a direction, because that leads you. So, I'm agreeing with the theory. I'm just not agreeing with all the wording and how it's positioned and the perceptions of it all. So your dominant trait, like I said, is the essential trait, helps lead you, okay? It's your primary trait. It's your go-to. It is essentially who you are, okay? In the physical realm. So remember that. When you start involving your non-physical, your intuition, your gut instincts, you start embracing that there is an unknown aspect to you that you have to take in and learn, right? So once you start doing that, that whole trait evolves greatly. It's no longer just this linear thing, right? That's why I don't like this whole generalization of and stereotyping of personality traits, because it's just really not true. And I'm gonna start doing that on my blog. I'm gonna start interviewing people and with different personality types to show you how different somebody can be with your personality type and how different they show up in the world, because there's so many factors. It's just not a linear thing, right? We are very complex beings, and we've all learned through different life experiences. So the essential self, your dominant trait, is it gives you a direction, gives your life a direction. Now, your secondary trait is called the auxiliary trait. Call in the auxiliary troops, right? Doesn't it remind you of war? It's like they're so funny. The words are just so heavy to me. So I've renamed that your harmonious trait, because it's very harmonious with your essential self. Without this trait, you're not fully you. without all of these functions, you're not fully you. But this one is really important because it snuggles really closely to your essential self. It supports your essential self. It's just think of it as you're like a bestie. Like it's always there for you. And it helps you exponentially take that essential self to the next level. It's like the yin and the yang, right? It's really important. That's why I call it your harmonious self. And then we have in what they call in traditional typology, career typology, your tertiary trait. Again, it's just like, I don't like the words. It is tertiary because it's your third in command. It does influence you very much, and especially as you mature. It starts to, and then that really supports your harmonious trait. But I call that trait, this tertiary, your emerging trait, because it starts emerging after your harmonious secondary trait works in, collaborates efficiently in a healthy way with your essential self. So that starts emerging. So that trait really exponentially expands the harmonious trait, which is really interesting. Again, giving you direction, giving you direction, giving you direction. Saying it again, giving you direction. When you find direction in your life, you find your purpose, or it starts pointing you into your purpose. Obviously, you need spiritual practices, stillness practices, mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, to support all this. But your functional stack really helps you find your direction in life. Now we're going to get to what is called in traditional language, traditional career typology, is your inferior trait. You're inferior, get to the back of the line. Put the inferior troops in the back, right? It's just like, okay. And it kind of makes sense. The language here makes sense, but I just don't like the word again. So I call it more your contrary trait because it's contrary to your essential self. And what I mean by that is it opposes your essential self, which this trait in itself teaches you some of the best life lessons. I know it did for me. Since it's in opposition of your essential self, this contrary trait, it unseats you a lot. It triggers you deeply. All the traits trigger, but this one does in very big, disruptive ways. It makes you stop. Mine brought me to my knees, a 7-year life tsunami. As you know, I talk about that a lot. But within doing that, it's where your biggest life lessons are. So it's interesting. So a lot of experts say, you don't really use your last two traits. They kind of remain unconscious, and they might. I want to bring them into consciousness for you, because each aspect of this functional stack gives your life direction, gives your life meaning. It helps you manifest. It helps you find your purpose. It answers your whys. It's like critical. It's uber critical. So if you start thinking about going back to goal setting or setting your resolutions, do you know your personality type? Do you know who you are? Do you know what the direction in your life you want to go? I mean, setting, resolutions with just an external focus only works for so long because there's no meaning. There's no fulfillment in that. There's no why. It's why to just gain stuff. We're not here just to gain stuff. We're here to evolve and grow. So this is funny because I when I was doing my readings this morning, because that's one of my practices, my spiritual practices, because I'm an ENTP, I want to do, but I have to calm myself in and, take some time, take the stillness practice, which is extremely important. Well, one of the things I I wrote down is the joy of finding yourself. of getting the direction in your life is where your joy springs from, right? Your joy is found in that. Because it's kind of unshakable. Yeah, you're going to fall down. We're human beings. I mean, we're going to hit bumps. But these bumps are challenges, which I call triggers, which I'm going to go through that in my book too as well. Fingers crossed. I want it to be out this year, hopefully in the first quarter. Anyway, long story. But these triggers help you identify aspects within your functional stacks, within your traits. You have to look within, right? But it helps you identify where you're stuck and where you're sabotaging yourself, where your fears and egos are bringing you down, or bringing you in putting you in low vibrational energy. Joy brings you into high vibrational energy. And if you really want to find happiness, happiness is found in sharing your gifts and genius with the world. It's in servitude to others. That's what I believe. And here, these are all my beliefs. This is my theory. This is what I went through in my life. It's how I got through my 7-year life tsunami. So I'm teaching you what I know and what worked for me. So take what you will and leave the rest. But the happiness comes from, again, figuring yourself out, and it's in that sharing of yourself, of finding yourself, of giving your life meaning and direction, and then allowing you to serve. So you're answering your why and your how, which is interesting, right? So when we go back to this New Year's resolutions, and you're just going, oh, I want to do this. Where is that coming from? What's the intention behind it? Are you just looking to manifest in the external? Which is fine. Believe me, I know. I did it. I did it for decades. And it works for a while, but there's never that contentment and deep inner peace. There's always questioning. Always questioning. Because you haven't turned on, you haven't switched on that spark of divinity within you. It's not collaborating with your physical self. Your physical and your non-physical aren't sharing in the creation and the experiences of on the earthly plane. Because when you ignite that divine spark within, which we all have, it's your birthright. And we're not really taught any of this stuff. I think that's why so many people struggle and fail, because they're not taught it. They're not taught to find their purpose from looking within. They're taught to find a purpose from externally. And it starts with your parents. God bless their souls. My parents did the same thing. Go make money, find a man, marry the man with money. I'm like, what the hell is that? But that's what they knew. I don't have to accept it. I have to bless them because they taught me so much. My parents were both my mother especially was extremely spiritual. She's a very wise person. My dad was too, from an intellectual place, right? So I've had both of these great influences in my life. And then some aspects weren't so great because it didn't resonate with my purpose. But I got dragged down into that, thinking it was me. And that's the biggest disservice you can do. You can live your life for somebody else's purpose. That's why so many of us were making these resolutions and we don't understand our purpose and we haven't found our purposes because we're too busy living everybody else's ideas of our purpose. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But I'm telling you, if you start looking into your functional stack, you'll find your purpose. You'll find a direction. And then let it be loose. I know it's hard for Jays to do this, but you can write your lists and so forth. But be open to the fact that your list might change or you might have to add different things into your list. let the list be fluid. Let it flow from you, not constrict you. See, we're not taught any of this. We're taught to follow some external system, the matrix. I know you probably sick of hearing that, but it is. I mean, we've been so conditioned into this matrix, into this web, and I'd like to say, let me just say the web. Let me just say, leave it there for right now. But it's this web, and it has us so stuck because it's sticky. Webs are sticky, right? We're so stuck in it that we can't climb out of it. So we've all gone down this rabbit hole. Well, this is what this whole last 2 years have been about. The last 2 years have been about, God, my hair is driving me crazy. It's just itching my nose, so just excuse me. These last 2 years have been about finding that out, figuring that out. Some people are comfortable in the matrix, others aren't. You know, this channel and my work is about people who are seekers, people who want to know beyond what's just expected. They want to start peeking into the unknown and stepping into the unknown, which that's where all the fresh, new, fun stuff is. Those were the adventures. That's where your life adventures lie. You know, we've been taught to be on a repeat cycle, repeat and rinse, repeat and rinse, repeat and rinse. That's why so many of us, like, go on Instagram. Oh my God, it's the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. It's just what we're taught. It's not a bad thing, but we need to be taught to be different. We need to be taught to find ourselves out, to figure out our why. Because the world needs your why, because that's your truth. We need truth. We need people that are going to be their truth, stand in their truth, deliver their truth. Because when you're at truth, you've up-leveled your energy. And when you up-level your energy, you are the spotlight. I don't care who you are, you know? And we're so ready to go, oh, look at the celebrity. Look at yourself that way. Be your own star. Put on your own crown. Be your own royalty. Don't look at the external world for that. Look in yourself. Because you have that light within. Be your own spotlight. And the thing is, when your spotlight's lit, you drag people with you. Because people are in your energy. You know? And that's why and I'm going to go a little bit biblical here, but that's why when Jesus spoke, his words were so embalmed in love. It just how do you attract that many people? I mean, I don't know if all the numbers and stuff are true, because I wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. But that's how you attract people. And you've seen it. You've seen people that are very lit from within. They're so inspired because they're getting that divinity. They're getting those divine messages and they're expressing their divinity out in the world. They're inspired. They just take you with them. You're like, yeah, I want some of that. I want you to be that. I want you to have all of that. So instead of struggling with this resolution and goals and listing, take yourself back. Because none of that stuff's not important. It doesn't work anyway. Like 85% of people don't even keep any of their goals within a month. So, you know, going to the gym, that fails. Eating differently, that fails. I'm going to change myself in my relationship. A lot of times that fails. You don't need to change yourself either. You need to figure yourself out. You need to figure out who the hell you are. You need to figure out your why. And you can get that direction from your functional stack. I know, this is like stuff we're never taught. And I was blessed that it was given through me, going through my 7-year life tsunami. It was shown to me. And then I experienced it because I finally started listening to the divine downloads, right? I was listening. Sorry, my dog's driving me crazy. Stop. Yeah. So that's how you do it. You know, the answers from the external world will only give you an external answer. The answer from divine is the unlimited potential that rests within you, that now you get to express and share in the world. That's inspired. The answers from the external world are often going to be like on the repeat and rinse cycle. You know? It's really a different way to look at your life. Look at your life from an inspirational viewpoint. Make it intentional. So how does the personality type and your purpose and your resolutions align? Well, the resolutions can't align unless you know your purpose. You can't know your purpose unless you know your personality. So see, I think we're going about this backwards. Personality comes first, then purpose, knowing your why, your meaning, your truth. That's what manifests the resolutions. That just comes naturally. Because when you start elevating it at a truth level, you're no longer in low vibrating energies. So that allows you to manifest. And when you're at that level too, the universe just starts conspiring with you. Right? That's so exciting. So the universe says, oh, look, they're lit up. Their spotlight's on. They're ready. They're ready to take inspired action. They're ready to live through their divinity, through that spark of divine love, intelligence, consciousness, whatever you want to call that. God source, whatever you want to call that. You know, that's your right. That's your divine right. And we were all born with that. And yours is very signature to you. It's like a couture light, like in the fashion term. Everything's couture. It's all handmade for you. Yeah, you're one in a billion people. So when you remove yourself from the tapestry of the collective, there's a hole in the tapestry because we need you. Whatever it is, big or small. You don't have to be on the world stage. You could be helping your neighbors out. You have extra tomatoes on your plant. You know, you give your neighbor extra tomatoes so she can feed her kid and make her kid spaghetti that night. Whatever it is. That's huge. That is huge. People don't realize that. The little things are really, really huge. But we've been so taught to think it's all the flash and glam. Like, I'm watching Emily in Paris. It's a cute show. But I'm like sitting there going, wow, you know, are we being taught that we need to go to a party and see some guy like it's a flying jet ski playing the saxophone? Is that what we expect at a party? And we're all taking selfies. We're not even talking to one another. We're not even involved with one another. We're not sharing our gifts with one another because we're so into our phones. We've lost touch. No. I mean, I don't think that's the way we should be, but that's just my 2 cents. Other people will say, Nina, you're crazy. I would love to be at a party like that, you know? And maybe because I have and I've seen that, and it's just like, yeah. It's the same old people talking about the same old stuff, you know? Their $5,000 shoes, and that's fine. I'm not saying that that's bad because that's cool too. You know, if that's what brings you pleasure. But I know from having all that stuff that it doesn't really bring you pleasure. And we all know, you know, that a lot of times, you know, people with excess money that aren't giving and don't have a purpose and don't have a direction in life aren't very fulfilled. They're afraid of losing their money. They're afraid of losing their money that comes with power. You know, they're always working to get more and more and more. You know, I don't know if that's not the way we're not supposed to live. I'd rather be this is my 2 cents, right? But I'd rather be the lady that's growing that has extra tomatoes and says to my neighbor, "Hey, do you need some of these? Because I have too much. You can make spaghetti out of this. Or even better, make the spaghetti sauce and take it over." Knowing that they need it. And then go about your business. It's okay to have money and go about your business. It's just like, how do you use it, right? I know the sun's coming in, so. Thanks, guys, for watching. 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. So put your perceptions on go. Put your perceptions to new ways of looking at things. You know, embrace who you are. Embrace wanting to know who you are. You know, it's such a great time to be alive because the lessons are so profound. They're so deeply profound. And we're at a time and a pace that's quick. So there's no sitting on the fence going, "Oh, you know, I'm going to just do this, but not now." Nope, now's not the time to be doing that. Nope. You need to get on going with your genius. And you need to put it out there in the world. Because we need you. And as I always say, one person that's in alignment is more powerful than a million that aren't. And I think I read that or got that download from Abraham Hicks, which, you know, brilliant. A brilliant person to study if you want to start studying some spiritual stuff. She's brilliant. There's a lot of brilliant people out there for that. Anyhow, wishing you so many golden moments in 2022. Filled with love and abundance, joy, peace, contentment, new directions in life, finding yourself, and knowing your why. It's going to be a good year. It's not going to be easy. Life isn't easy. People want easy. I think that's why only 25% of the population has figured out their purpose. Because a lot of people don't want to look at themselves. But I don't think a lot of people have been shown how to do it. You know, I don't think we've been given the tools to do it in a way that makes sense, but still has a spiritual component. So I'm going to give you those tools. You know, I got a book coming out. Yes. I'm going to be doing some courses. I want to start a membership community where, you know, we can do some Q&As. I want to start interviewing people so you can see how different and beautiful all the types are. Stepping away from this, you know, stereotypical thing that all extroverts, you know, are like snails. They just live in the shell or like a turtle. You know, some introverts are. But let's not stereotype. I just think that's just, it's kind of like gossiping about a type. I don't find that to be very uplifting or high vibrating at all. I don't like that energy. That's me. Okay. Believe it or not. Take what you want. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. 2022, it's going to be all that you make it. So what are you going to make of it? Be that person that's 1 in a million, right? Be that person. Be the person that's aligned. It's more powerful than a million who aren't. Be that. I know it's not easy, but it gets so exciting once you start getting into it. All right. Happy 22, and we'll talk to you real soon. All for now, Nina.